Welcome to Health Watch, where we shine a spotlight on individual services provided by the BVI Health Services Authority. In honor of EMS Week 2024, join us as we delve into the world of emergency medical services and celebrate the dedicated individuals who are at the forefront of saving lives in our community. Today, we have the privilege of speaking with esteemed members of BVI HSA's Advanced Emergency Medical Technician team and their supervisor, who collectively bring decades of expertise and unwavering commitment to their vital role here at the BVI HSA. I am Damian Grange, your host, who will take you throughout this program. Welcome to the program. We have Miss Tashima Barzi, and we have Mr. Rodolphe Lewis and Mr. Eric Thompson. Gentlemen, lady, welcome to Health Watch.
Thank you.
Decades of service to the BVI HSA, and let me start by taking the time to personally extend a big thank you on behalf of the organization for what you all do here. You save lives. So thank you. EMS Week is under the theme, let me check my notes, honoring our past, forging our future. But before we get into that, I would love for myself and our audience to learn a little more about each of you. Tashima, for example, there are a lot of firsts as it relates to you, so talk to us about your background.
Well, I've been in the service for 22 years, and I am the first local female paramedic, and I am the first local female EMS supervisor, so that is an accomplishment.
Big accomplishment, congrats. And 22, which means you started in the service at what, 10?
I started in the service young.
Okay. Mr. Lewis, talk to us about your background. We know you've been around for some time as well.
Just a little more than 22 years.
At the BVI HSA?
Actually, I started out at BVI Fire and Rescue Service.
Mm-hmm.
Did 8 years there and then became an EMT while I was still a fire officer. Headed up the ambulance service on Virgin Gorda initially. And shortly after, I transferred to BVI HSA.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been here since.
Well, to the hospital.
Yes, well, then BVI People's Hospital.
Then,
now
yeah.
BVI HSA.
Well, Dr. Deolanda Smith Hospital. Yeah.
See, it's been so long.
It's been long, yeah.
Yeah, lots of
But
changes.
BVI HSA is the umbrella. Yeah. And Mr. Thompson, you are native from Barbados, my understanding, and you have decided to come over to the BVI where the people are much nicer. Talk to us about that.
Yes, as to be a native of Barbados, but being nicer, I'm going to hold that on pause. Yes, I was a member of the Barbados Defense Force. I did 25 years of service, and I retired then. Had a good few operations. Started with Grenada back in 1983. Went to Haiti, went to Trinidad, went to Dominica, and so on. Down the lines, and a lot of humanitarian services around the Caribbean, with hurricanes and so on. And then after I retired, I was home helping out with another private hospital, and I was seen by Dr. Yi Singh thing in probably 2006.
Okay.
And she asked me if I want to come down here to work.
Okay.
And I was eager to come, but then I was still timid because BVI didn't know much about BVI really. So
Right.
it started to generate some interest from 2006 to come this side, but I only came then in 2013. After then,
So you're with us for 11 years now.
11 years.
And
yes.
this is now home. Well, we are grateful for what you do, and I was saying to you before we started the interview that I couldn't do what you do. You're literally the point of contact as it relates to healthcare. And I think as we're here, I know we shouldn't be talking about this at this point, but what was the pandemic like for each of you being in an emergency service technician?
Scary.
Scary.
At times.
It was actually very scary, especially
It
the
was.
beginning
Mhm.
of it.
because there was that novelty and we didn't know what
a
is
lot
what.
of a lot of uncertainty.
Mhm.
Some of the information you got today, it
Changed.
was not the same when you came into work tomorrow. Things were
Mhm.
changing so fast,
Yeah.
and then you always had that fear in the back of your mind that you might take this thing back home to your families.
Yeah.
And then with every day there was reports of more and more people dying from
COVID.
COVID, you
Yeah.
know, and that was one of the greatest fears. They might take it home to your family.
But then you kept on going.
My one of my philosophies is, you know, this is my country. This is where I was born. If I don't step up and, you know, do it for my country, who's gonna do it?
Yeah.
It's up to us to take care of our own. And then there are times when you need assistance. You know, you get someone coming like Mr. Thompson here, comes in and you know, assists where we need the assistance.
Yeah.
But locals should step up and
Protect.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you are definitely a significant player in our response to the pandemic, and the BVI Health Services Authority did a remarkable job, which was commended by other countries in the region, and also looked into as to what made us so successful. So you were a model response organization, and so congrats BVI HSA and congrats EMS team. All right, let's talk about our Emergency Service Week 2024. What is going on with that? Supervisor Tashima Bazi, first female supervisor local, first female local paramedic.
Well, this week we're not doing much actually. This week we're kind of downplaying it, but what we are doing is we're extending it to the Sister Islands. So we will be in Virgin Gorda and Anegada this year, which is very exciting because we do have a crew in Virgin Gorda and we have a somewhat of a presence in Anegada, but not our staff, but we're one family. So
That's right. You added a new ambulance to the Virgin Gorda fleet and one to the. How is that working?
it's great.
Awesome.
It's great because we have new ambulances. Come on, we know.
Yeah.
And it's different than what we're accustomed to, but it works for us.
Yeah. And we want to say in that thanks to YCCS for partnering with us in securing one of those ambulances, which is dedicated to the Virgin Gorda community. That is something for us to expect for the week. But do you have dates as to when the community can look out for you?
The date basically is the Thursday. I think that's the 23rd. I think 23rd will be Virgin Gorda.
And then the 22nd, the Wednesday is Anegada.
Okay, great. So, in-house, what are we doing to commemorate the week?
Well, on the Friday, actually, I have asked for previous media to be displayed on social media every day for the week. So we've done a lot of filming, and I've captured pictures from online newspapers from when we were on scene. So those pictures will be shown. We can't take pictures ourselves, but if it's online, we can take it.
Yeah.
And we've actually planned to do another video, which is exciting about that.
Right.
So I can't wait.
And most of that is to educate the community on what you do.
Yes.
So I think we should talk about that. What should one expect when requesting an ambulance? Who's going to take that?
Well, I can say a little bit on that. It's like the community of BVI is different than a lot of other places. And I don't know the concept of the US versus the Caribbean or whatever have people feeling a little bit different. Like, as you call for an ambulance, one should be there at 5 minutes or what. But when you call for an ambulance, the first thing has to go through a system and it comes down to us. So it's not a direct call to the EMS per se.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes we are not in office because we are on the road already, so the call has to be taken by somebody and then passed on to us.
Okay.
But the issue behind that is that when you call for the ambulance, we need some information from you to let us know what it is, what is happening, what is going on, where is it, and with a clear direction of where to find the individuals, because we all know that in BVI the roads and the names of places are not marked as clearly as we would like them to be. And then some people just give apartments.
Right.
And everybody don't know everybody's apartments. And then one person may got 4 or 5 different apartments in the same block. But which block is it that we really have to go by?
Right.
So giving location is very vital for us and critical. It takes up time, it takes up energy and whatever. And then it's not only that what's happening, what's the state of the individual. Sometimes people just say, send an ambulance, I'm not bleeding. But bleeding how, where? You know, it may be just a simple cut, but everybody sees blood, it's like, there's so much blood for them. Right? So sometimes that's a big issue too. When you turn around there and ask questions, then everybody believes that they're asking too much questions.
Yeah.
They don't want to answer, and then they give you a lot of words that are not in the dictionary really. You know, so, and you cannot answer back to soup, so you got to take it and swallow it and just ask questions again, like, to get them to understand that we have to know where we're doing and what we're coming for. And especially if it's an altercation, where that they have someone that is trying to take someone's life or whatever, calling the ambulance because you see blood and whatever, it is not going to give the ambulance the first response to be there, because scene safety is critical for us.
So a call like that, you would need to also have possibly a police response.
Yes.
Right, to ensure the safety of both the individuals and also the team. Why is it so important then? Because I get what you are saying, and I also would have an appreciation for what the client who is calling in an emergency is feeling like, I'm being questioned and I just need help. But why is it so important for you to have all of that information?
So,
I responded to a call recently, and a young man was met, unresponsive on the ground. And long short of the story, his family member came there while we were on scene and was irate that we had him in the ambulance and threatened to go home, get his gun, and come back for us.
That underscores the seriousness also of what you do. And on the subject of what should persons expect, that is definitely something we don't want the callers or the community to do when you show up for service. And I know you wanted to.
So there's an additional information we need, because if we need more persons to come and assist. So if I got a call about a medical emergency, and we know the person lives on the 3rd floor, and it's an emergency where we know they're unconscious, we're gonna call more staff to come and help us. If it's a situation of a trauma, we know we're gonna need more persons. So all of this information we need, so that when we show up to the scene, we have everything and everybody at one time, instead of coming and then saying, geez, we need more people.
Right.
If it's a car accident especially, and there are more than one person involved, we're gonna need to call a second ambulance. So those things, the public will be like, why are you asking all these questions? But it's very important, so that when we get there,
you can serve
there's
them
no more delays
adequately.
Yes.
Of course, and I'm sure once persons get that understanding, they'll have a better appreciation for why you do what you do. For example, I know this may be slightly off topic, but not so much. But I also know that there is a protocol as it relates to responding if it is a crime scene, for example. And could you educate us on what that protocol is?
So we are supposed to call police to secure the scene before we get on scene, because our first priority is scene safety, or safety, safety of our crew. So until police says yes, you can come, we cannot come to the scene. And that's something we need the public to understand. So if it's not safe for us, it's not safe for you. So the police have to let us know it's safe to come.
Right. So in the event that you're called to respond to what is identified as a crime scene, then the first thing is for the scene to be secured by the authorities, and then you can go in to provide aid to the affected persons.
Yes.
Right.
All right. So that is
Okay, one thing I can
Sure.
add to is that we focus there on crime and scenes, but in the case that there's a fire also, people should inform the fire service, because we, the EMTs, don't have the apparatus to go into a burning building or a smoke-filled building, or if it's chemicals or not. The fire who is to do rescue is supposed to go for these people, bring them out to us in a safe area, because we don't want our staff to be going to them and get carbon monoxide poisoning, and we next minute the EMTs don't come back out.
right.
So it's not only calling
We don't
police.
want the EMTs to need EMTs.
Yes,
Exactly.
definitely.
I mean, very short.
Yeah, we're working on that. I'm sure.
Yes.
No, you see, these are important information to get out, because we do hear the complaints from time to time. Oh, the ambulance took forever, and it's because people don't have that understanding that these are some of the factors that would result in the delay, and also why you're being interrogated before there is a response, because you need to know the information to be able to adequately respond.
There's actually another thing that when you're on scene, a minute feels like 5 minutes, feels like 20 minutes, and 20 minutes feels like an hour. So your perception of time is completely warped.
Yes.
And unless you experience it, you wouldn't really understand how it feels to wait on an ambulance.
Yes.
Even if it's like 2 minutes, it feels like it's too long.
Yes.
So that's something that they might need to understand too.
Right. No, I get that.
There's another phenomenon that's plaguing the BVI, I can say specifically. I don't know about other countries, but it's probably spreading to other countries as well. Social media. Everybody wants to be the one to capture what's going on and post it on WhatsApp and YouTube and Facebook and TikTok, and you see lots of cell phones out at an incident, and 5 minutes and no one has thought about calling the ambulance because they think somebody else called the ambulance.
Right.
And so 5 minutes of video and not
the
one
person-
call goes out
right.
to him.
And
I can tell you,
and
again,
then you will see the complaints on social media saying the ambulance took forever,
Mm.
when it's
Calls.
because of the so-called social media phenomenon.
Exactly.
Nobody took the time to actually call, because they need to capture the video thinking that the next person would call. And that's an important point to raise.
So this happened to me one night. I was on duty, and my sister in England sent me some videos of an accident.
Wow.
And I'm looking at it like, whoa, this thing looks bad. She's like, yeah, this just happened. And told her, I was like, geez. And then about a minute later,
The call comes in.
phone rang about this accident that my sister sent to me
From the UK.
From the UK.
That is
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
is
that is something.
something, to put it mildly.
It's actually it's a global thing, and
It is.
I'm not even sure how to navigate that.
Right. I think with education and sensitization, people become aware, and that is why we are actually doing this interview, so that the community gets a better understanding of the circumstances surrounding responses, and then they can now think about it, even if they are in the situation themselves, right? So now we have gotten that bit out of the way, where persons know, rather than trying to secure video at a scene, please ensure that the emergency services are contacted first. Provide the relevant information to the persons on the phone. And if they're asking you specific questions, give them as clear as an answer as you possibly can, so that they are so that you are better able to respond effectively. And now we need to know, how do we get to you in the event of an emergency?
Right, a little bit about that also, that families do cause a little hiccup in reaching their destination, is that sometimes they give us the information as close as possible, but not close enough. and then we have to call them back. So that's why we need their name and the telephone number. But then when you try to call them back, they're using the phone calling all their extended family about the situation at home that we cannot get to them, and then we'll stick up probably 200 meters away from the house
And don't know how
and
to
don't
get
know
there.
exactly to get to the house, because that is very, very important too. So we normally say, leave your line open. Do not use this line to make any calls until the ambulance arrives at the scene.
Right, so you normally instruct them. All right, now you know that once you call an ambulance from a particular number or the number given to return a call in the event the ambulance team needs to, then please keep that line clear. All right, so that you don't further delay and then say the ambulance took an hour, right? When it was in the vicinity circulating. How do we reach you? Let's get to that.
So you call 911 or 999. It gets sent to the EMS office, or if they're not available at the time, it gets sent to the emergency room.
Right.
Either which way, we will get the information It's given to us.
Right.
So,
And
We also have 2 mobile cell phones,
okay.
and I think they can transfer
yes.
the call from the 911 to
To
one
them.
of those phones.
Right.
As well.
So if you're in the field, you can also accept
Yes.
another call. Okay,
Yes.
that's great. I know we addressed it specifically as it relates to responding to a potential crime scene, and also having extra hands while we need information. But safety as it relates to maybe the building you're accessing, let's address it from that perspective.
Okay, I can add a little to that. The high-rise buildings, most of the time, the owners of the buildings or the apartments do live at the top. And when they're up in age or they have a little bit more size than when you go up there, you have to get them down. And sometimes, because there's only 2 ambulance crew, you may see a lot of family members at the house. And sometimes you ask a question, can you all give me a hand? And then you get a complaint like, oh, I have a back pain, I can't lift, I can't help, I
Right.
can't this, or what the case may be. So that also helps delay the process of getting the person down. Because yes, they may be conscious, it may take a little time to get down. But you're living 3 or 4 flats up
Yeah.
and they're unresponsive,
Or immobile.
that's a different story.
Yeah.
Because you can't do that kind of treatment coming down the steps. So good thing we have a little bit of equipment that can help us bring them down
Right.
now, but the process of that is going to take a while. And
Right. And sometimes access may be an issue too, right?
Yes.
We build
Yeah,
houses
especially-
for our young ages and not our old ages.
Mm-hmm.
And dogs.
Oh. Yes.
Yes, dogs.
We
We
don't do dogs.
no.
So
If you call the ambulance and you have dogs in your yard, make sure that they're tied and away so you can get in and out.
and don't say he don't bite.
Yeah, they say that all the time.
Right.
I remember going into a house to assist this lady who was having respiratory distress. And I walked up the stairs and I got to the top of the stairs and there was a dog. He was about the size of a horse. I came face to face with this thing. And I swear my heart stopped. I just went cold all over because it was a
Frightening.
monster. Yeah.
Yeah. But was a friendly dog.
And that no, that's what they said. Oh, he's not gonna bite you. I'm like, he got teeth.
So secure your pets, even if you think they're the most friendly.
The thing
pets.
about the pets is that dogs are good until their owners
are threatened.
are sick or threatened, and
Yes.
then they change.
Yeah, and 2, they
Or
may
strapped
think
to a backboard and being hauled out to the
right,
house.
and they may the pet may also think that you're harming
Exactly.
their
The master.
and become defensive. So it's best to
Right.
secure your pets when you call the. No, you see, it's important that we're having this conversation because these are things we don't think about generally when we are in need of help. But if we start to put the information out, then people become more conscious and cognizant of these things when they are in need of help.
Cars. You get to a house at 11 o'clock at night.
Forecast.
After driving 10, 20 minutes, 30 minutes to get to the house, and there's 5 cars in the driveway, you're stuck way down the hill because you can't get access to the house because everyone's home, all the cars in the driveway, and you can't get close enough to the house.
But
So then,
now that is a challenge because if you think about it, I am living in an apartment complex and persons have assigned parking, and usually it's just enough for the amount of building units that are there.
mhm.
And then somebody in the middle of the night has an emergency and calls the ambulance. And if they don't have family members home to run and say, tell John to move their car, then you show up and you have to now walk a long distance to. So maybe part of what we need to do in this instance is, is this a recurring issue that you've
Very
been
much
having?
so. Because
Yeah,
people build
Happens very
houses
often.
for good weather, not bad weather. So you build houses in such a way that you don't think people will get sick. You can only park this close to each other, so the stretcher cannot go through. So you're trying to figure out, how am I going to get this person out? They're unconscious and they need to get to the hospital right now. And all of those things we have to think about and navigate through. And yes, you build your house how you want to build your house, but at the end of the day, when you get sick and you need to get out now,
Yeah.
it's very difficult.
So sometimes when you get to the scene, you are now trying to figure out not just how to save life, but how to evacuate.
We
the
take
life.
more time trying to evacuate than actually trying to treat, and that's a problem.
That is a problem. So to me, that issue therefore lies within town and country. You need to make sure that if you're building an apartment complex, that there is a specific location for emergency access, not just for ambulance, but for fire services
True.
and so on. Maybe somebody in authority is watching us and may need to take that up, because at the end of the day, it may be their family member that is in need of this assistance and wouldn't be able to get it because of simple things like this that we don't generally consider in relations to emergency response.
Yeah. So one of the things, if you're taking care of a family member who's bedridden, we've experienced going to a home and this patient is in the very back of the house, in the back bedroom, down a narrow corridor. It actually takes more time to get them out of that room and out of the house than it takes us to get them from the location to the hospital.
Whoa.
Yeah, we've had multiple incidents, and I had to pull the family members aside on a couple of occasions and said, look, yes, this time your family was not in a critical condition. We didn't have to do CPR on them, but if it was that case, there's a good chance that they would not make it out of the house.
Because
It took us
yeah.
half hour to move them from the back bedroom up to the front.
Right. And again, things like these that we don't generally consider, because Nana is comfortable in that room. So we leave Nana in the room, but we also have to think maybe it's time for us to switch rooms so that we have easier access if
Exactly.
she needs emergency care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
And not just emergency care too, because if there's a fire at the home, you
Exactly.
want to be able to evacuate your family members easier.
Right.
Right.
Okay, something else I can draw onto emergency and get into your home, and that is the safety of when that ambulance is mobile, from time to leave the hospital, getting to the scene and getting back. I think it is a bad trend of motorists who tries to want to drive immediately behind the ambulance to think that it clears the way for them to get to town or out of town. But they don't realize that the driver then have to be more vigilant of who's in front of him to swerve off,
And who's
who's coming to the left or right, and then who's behind if he have to brake a bit suddenly.
Yeah.
Because he got to be like have 4 sets of eyes
Right.
looking all around.
But isn't that illegal?
Yes.
It is illegal. Because as a motorist myself, I thought that was an illegal thing.
We've actually had a case where we were going to an emergency. This person was in a bad way, and somebody was following the ambulance and slammed into the back of the ambulance.
And then you now have
We had
to
to stop.
stop.
It's frustrating because we know what we're going for, and now we have to stop and think, because we have to make sure that that person is okay.
Of course.
And then the police reports you have to do, and then you're thinking, okay, I still need to get to this person. What
Right.
else can I do? It's very frustrating.
Of course. And worse, no. If the accident, it could be in such a way where it renders the ambulance immobile.
That has
too.
happened before too.
Don't tell me that. All right, so folks, don't drive behind the ambulance just because you need to get out of town or somewhere. It's not worth it. You're putting your life in danger, you're putting the EMS life in danger, and you're further threatening the life of the person they're responding to. And also, it's against the law. Don't do it. All right, EMS Week 2024. Let us take the opportunity to celebrate our emergency service technicians and paramedics throughout the Virgin Islands. They have been doing amazing work in keeping our communities safe. They're on the front line, so they themselves need to be safe. So we're going to do our part in ensuring we protect you while you serve us. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your service. Is there anything you would like to add before we go?
Just to be safe on the road.
Yes.
And then it would avoid all the complaints, all the problems, all the late calls.
Yeah.
But we have to do them.
Right.
So to give us the chance to do our job, please be safe out there on the road.
Right.
We take a lot of flack for various reasons. One of the most heartwarming things that has happened to me is when I was in a supermarket and this little girl kept tugging at her mom's dress and pointing at me, and so I walked up to her and asked, something's wrong? And she whispered to her mother, and her mother said, she was telling me that you were the one who came and helped her 2 years ago when she was sick.
Oh. And I can see you welling up now,
Yeah.
Mr. Lewis. Be
It-
nice
it-
to our
it's-
EMTs. You will make them cry tears of joy.
It's not often that we get a lot of people come back and say
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah.
But if you're in a situation where you can thank the people, that
Yeah.
it means a lot.
All right.
Because a lot of us are not doing it just for the money. It's just because we love.
You love helping people. We know that for sure. And that is why we celebrate you, and we want to take the time during EMS week to put some voices to the faces and faces to the voices that our community would hear from and possibly see, and also to highlight the work that you do. It is most times thankless work, but you do it anyway. And I was touched when you talked about your personal feelings as it relates to the pandemic and your own fears. And I was thinking to myself, I was more administrative and I had similar fears, but it would not have been as heightened as yours. And how burying your own fear just so you can serve others, it's just, for me, heroic. And so I celebrate you. Thank you. It's EMS Week 2024, and we want to give the due recognition to the men and women in uniform here at the BVI Health Services Authority who are on the front line of saving lives in the community. And we also want you, the community, to meet them and to treat them better, show them love. And as you can see, they have a heart. They will cry when you say thank you. As we wrap up this special edition of Health Watch, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Rodolphe Lewis, Mr. Eric Thompson and Mr. Shima Bazi, for sharing their insights and experiences with us. Their dedication to serving our community exemplifies the spirit of EMS Week and the unwavering commitment to the BVI Health Services Authority to providing exceptional emergency medical care. Thank you for joining us, and remember to show appreciation for our EMS professionals, not just for this week, but every day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and until next time, take care. I'm Damian Grange, and this has been another Health Week.